Hey there guys, and welcome back to Gwent Academy. This is going to be a review of Gwent as a free-to-play player. Been playing free-to-play for about a month, a little over a month, maybe a month and a week, and I'm really liking it so far. Played card games ever since I was a kid, so I mean, this one's really interesting because it does have a few unique mechanics, unlike other games I've played where they're just copies of other card games. But it doesn't have as much RNG as Hearthstone that I'm liking. That is one of my worries though, because you watch, you can watch one of the finals in one of the tournaments of Hearthstone. It's just ridiculous. This guy keeps drawing like everything that he needs, and all his random cards giving everything he needs to beat the guy. I actually watch Light Coach reacting to it, and it's pretty funny if you know the game a little bit. But I only bring up the RNG because this game has some RNG, even though people say it doesn't. It does have a little bit of RNG, but it's more situational RNG instead of purposeful RNG like Hearthstone. And I'm hoping they don't go too far into the RNG aspect. Because you got things like Becker's Twisted Mirror, which swaps the highest and lowest power of a unit. That's one of the big ones. And that card, if there's multiple ones on the field, like your opponent has a one and you have a one, you're trying to swap over the highest power, it could hit your opponent's one. And then there's sort of with the discard ships and the reveal, the things when you reveal a card, then you do 2 damage to a random enemy. That one sort of matters sometimes because there's like a 50-50 chance of it pinging that guy that you wanted to hit. Like I've had times where it's 7 power? Yeah, 7 power card. I discard a 6, do 6 damage to it, and then I want that ship to ping it, but there's a 50-50 chance, and if it pings it, I'm a really good spot. But if it doesn't, and he gets to play more cards and protect it, then it's not looking so well. But there's not that many cards that really matter like that in this game. Pretty much just the warships and Becker's Twisted Mirror. And I guess the Ghoul, but that one you don't really see played. You and if it is played, it's usually set up. The one it randomly consumes a unit in either player's graveyard. But that one, it's usually if it's played, it's set up so they kill something round one, then they eat it because you're not going to get much value out of it if you wait until the end of the round. But I mean, my collection overall here I can actually show you some of my collection. As a free-to-play player, it's actually looking pretty decent. I mean, compared to other card games, online card games that I've played at least, I do have decent amount of the cards. I mean, okay, let's go to non-premium. Standard only, there we go. 194 out of 317 of the cards. But I do have a decent collection. I mean, just gonna scroll through this real quick. Go over to neutral. My neutral cards are sort of lacking, but I'm gonna get that built up. I do have a decent amount of the neutral golds. Monsters, I have monsters pretty much completed, at least everything that's good. I have Gravehag, but she's premium. And yeah, I have Reaper, Woodland Spirit, they're premium, and Sleeping Old Spirit Tip. So monsters, I have pretty much everything. Nilfgaard's looking pretty good, except I'm missing like 2 epics, I think. Where are they? Oh no, I got one of them. Yeah, I have all the epics now for Nilfgaard. All I'm missing is 3 of the golds that are pretty decent. I mean, they've given me pretty much all these Nilfgaard cards. I haven't crafted any of these ones. But they've given me Zarthus and Stefan Skell and Tibber. There. Zarthus not that great, but he's fun in some types of decks. Then the only thing is Northern Realms. I have like nothing in Northern Realms. I totally destroyed Northern Realms. I have a side account for Northern Realms just because this was the class that I destroyed altogether because I was thinking when I first started I didn't know how the game was going to go, and so I decided I'd totally destroy one class if I got any cards for it, and that was Northern Realms. So I could actually make a competitive deck, which was monsters at the time. I was making a consume deck back when Axemen were a thing because it was pretty interesting. And we got Shartal. This one, I got a lot of stuff here. I mean, I only got 1 gold. I got a lot of epics though, commons. Scalege is pretty much set because that's another deck that I really want. I still want Combi though, and Hedgemer because I do have Coral. But I mean, I'm just showing this because this is just a month of playing as a free to play player and not even doing all the stuff that you can do. I don't get to play it all the time because I am sort of busy, but I mean, I do try to get my 6 and 12 wins every day if I can. And that gets me enough for 2 packs. And plus, there's the level up rewards, which we'll go over to those. There we go. Level up rewards, gonna give you some scraps and kegs to craft stuff. And these cards, one card's at like level 20, level 30, and so on. Those ones are always gold. So that's a free gold card. And then you got the rank rewards, which they give you a lot of rewards for ranked. I'm pretty sure at the end of the season when it resets that you'll be able to re-get all these rewards for ranking up again, which is just going to be even more crazy because I mean, I've gotten, let's see, 13, 18, 22, 25, 27, 29 kegs, 29 free packs for playing ranked. And I haven't played that many ranked games, but I mean, and it's not that hard to get like to rank 18. Even then, you still get the same amount of kegs that I got. And rank 18 is not hard to get at all. They give you a lot of kegs for that and scrap. I mean, these rewards are crazy. I think they're a little bit too generous sometimes. And then at the end of the season, I'm going to get 19 more kegs for being ranked 20. But yeah, and then the daily rewards. So I mean, and plus the fact that you get to pick your 5th card in every keg. That is really cool for making your decks the way you want, so you don't get a bunch of duplicate golds or something that happens a lot with other games. So yeah, the rewarding system, really generous. Plus, when they do a patch and they nerf something, you get full value from it, which is the same thing other card games do, but I mean, it is an open beta right now, so there is a lot of changing. I'm expecting that later on in the game, that's going to change, and there's not going to be so many nerfs to cards, so you're not going to be able to do that as much. But still, for right now, yeah, it's really nice for that. Though I have trouble saving stuff because I like to try out other decks and show them to people, so I don't really get to amass a bunch of cards and then mill them when they are bonus scrap. And the gameplay, as far as the gameplay goes, I mean, the idea is really unique. There is no draw phase, which I find really interesting. You don't have to worry about trying to top deck something or your opponent top decking something if you get some card advantage on them. Because, for the most part at least, because you all start with 10 cards in your hand in the first round. And you have to make those 10 cards work for you or and not spend too many so you can win the next round if you need to, which, yeah, you need to win one of the 2 next rounds because you got to win 2 rounds in this game, which is really cool too because it's not all dependent on one game where, oh, they got some board advantage and you can't beat it, now you're just screwed. But there's you got to win 2 out of 3 rounds. It's pretty cool because then you got to really plan for what you want to save for the next round, what you want to actually spend off to try to win that first round, which is kind of important winning the first round most of the time. So that aspect's really cool. And then we got the way you build your decks in this game is actually really interesting and will make it easy for free-to-play players to get into. I have a crap ton of decks right now. I gotta delete some of these. Most of these are from decks I was testing out and stuff. I do like a lot of them though. But when you go to create a deck, you'll see when it loads, there we go, you can only have 4 copies of gold cards and 6 copies of silver cards in a 25 card deck. So I mean, even for when new players come in, they can get a decent amount of scrap and then make a top tier deck really easily with this game after a little while, because all decks are always going to cost the same if you're building them straight from scratch, which I mean, after you open up a few kegs, that's not always going to happen because you're going to have extra cards. So that's really cool because, yeah, free to play players and other players can get into it really easy by not having to craft deck that's going to cost them a crap ton. Like in most games, you can run as many golds as you want, as many legendaries, and they're usually really strong, so you got to get all those legendaries and have like a 7 legendaries in your deck, which can be pretty expensive. And then when they nerf something or the new patch or new cards come, then that deck's useless and all your golds are pretty crappy. So this is pretty cool. I really like that idea. Though sometimes I do wish I could run more silvers. And the whole thing that golds can't be targeted by either player's card effect. That's a really cool idea. Because usually, I mean, like, if it was legendary or something, it'd just be your opponent's card effect. But making it so it's your card effects too is really awesome. Probably going to be a lot of cuts in this because I keep losing my train of thought. But then there's really unique effects in this game too. I mean, I don't know how they're going to add on to them, which is another thing that I'm worried about. If they're just going to expand these current archetypes that they have and effects that they have, or if they're going to try to create some new ones. Because they have came out with a lot of effects right away. You got like veteran, consume, all these different types of decks you can make. And it's really cool because even now, our last patch was July 20th? Yeah, July 20th. I mean, the meta has been pretty set for a bit now. And in most games, you got your decks and that's it by now. But there's still new decks coming out that people are coming up with that are pretty competitive. And it changes around the ladder and stuff. Like monsters were really strong, and that's like all people ran for a bit, because that everybody thought that was gonna be the strongest thing in the meta. I mean, now there's a Nilfgaard deck that's really good. There's a discard Skellige deck and one running Sirius and Combi that I really want to try. That one's pretty good too. And I think that's newer decks that have come out. Oh yeah, and the Axeman deck. Axeman have made a comeback recently. They finally figured out how to get them to work. So I mean, the meta is still not really set, and the way they balance this game is really good. They do a really good job, really quick. I mean, last patch was a little bit rough with Axemen because they were ridiculously strong, but they took care of that. And the weather problem that was really strong. It's still strong now, but it's not unbeatable. Like you, with any deck, you have a chance to beat it. You don't need weather clear, though it does help. But I mean, it's not like dependent on if you don't draw something, then you're not gonna win. I mean, there is still one card that's sort of busted, and I'm gonna go down to it. It's the Selenal Harpy right here. Selenal Harpy. This card is pretty busted just because it gives you so much value. I mean, in a consumed deck, it's a 13, 16, 19 power card for a bronze, and you can run 3 of them. So it's pretty ridiculous, but that's already getting nerfed next patch. We already know that for sure. They've already sort of revealed that, and when they revealed some of the cards. So they're pretty good at balancing the game. They're getting it down really quickly, in my opinion. I mean, I'll have to wait to see what the next patch is, but I mean, already with this current patch that's out right now, the game feels pretty balanced, and there's a lot of different decks that you can run. Which is something I like, since there's no arena mode yet. Don't know if they're even going to add that. I hope they do. But I do like being able to run many different decks and having a chance with them, instead of if you face one of the top tier decks, if you don't run one of 3 decks. There's usually like 3 decks that are top tier decks in most card games. And if you don't run one of those 3, you're going to have no chance with any other deck if you're just trying to have fun. With this one, you can win even with fun decks. I mean, it depends. Some fun decks don't work if you face something like the Gon. So I shouldn't really say that, but most fun decks that are just like trolley decks and stuff can work. I've seen people, some crazy weird deck ideas sometimes, and they've beaten me every now and then, because you don't know what to expect, or what exactly they have in their deck, like most meta decks, and you don't know how that's going to react against your deck. So, I mean, you have the advantage there if you totally make a deck from scratch. I usually suck at that. But, I mean, so yeah, the deck building concept, how many different types of decks there are is really awesome. So far, the game's looking really good. I just have a couple worries with it, and that's the RNG and Are they going to be able to, are they going to add an arena mode or something? Because I do like to play arena when I get bored of facing against meta decks, usually in card games. And how are they going to release cards? Like, we're getting 20 new cards coming up here soonish, and I think they're going to be added into the normal kegs, not a new keg, because they're only 20 cards. But I mean, is that going to be the way that they're going to do it throughout the whole game, is adding 20 new cards every now and then? I don't know if I'm going to like that. I'd hope that they come out with like a new keg every now and then or something with a bunch of new cards. Of course, the way it is now, I mean, every card, pretty much every card in this game is usable in some way. There's a couple, very few, that aren't usable. They're sort of like the filler cards that you see in a lot of card games. You got Wyvern, there's an example right there. Deploy, damage an enemy by 3. It's a 9 power bronze card, it's pretty crappy. Never gonna really, and 3 damage isn't that much or enough to really matter to run it. So I mean, and besides that, we got, as far as monsters go, I mean, I'm just looking through monsters. All these cards right here, they all have their own use. I do not, no, all these cards can be played. Except, okay, there is one more. This one, but who knows, this one might be end up played somehow too. Boost up to 6 random allies by 2. That one's just not good because you can use this and boost 3 adjacent units by 4, and that'll give you the same value. Or this one and add 3 armor. This one, I think immune boost is actually the best because you get 9 power and 9 armor. But I mean, yeah, every card here, I've seen every card here pretty much played in some sort of deck, except for the Wyvern. At least competitive decks. And Chort, I mean, Chort's sort of a filler card, but not really. I mean, it's still really strong and useful, just there is better cards. So, I mean, okay, I guess there's technically 2 cards in Monsters, at least of what I have, that are never used, really. But the rest of them, I mean, that's good. For how many cards there are in Monster Archetype, it's ridiculous that there's only 2 filler cards. Because normally there's like a crap ton of filler cards. Like half the cards that are out are filler cards that are totally unusable and never really played in anything. But I think that's because there's so many different archetypes to this game. So, yeah, I think that's about it for the review. I hope I got everything I wanted to say, but if you guys want to try it out or thinking about it, yeah, this game's really fun. Especially for newer players. Now would be the time to get into it, I think, because there's not as many cards, and most card games as more and more cards are added, it's harder and harder to get a full collection. Just another thing that is right now with every card being usable pretty much is that you want every card. Because usually in most card games you can just be like, okay, I don't want half these cards. I can just focus on the half that are really good. In this game, it's like, well, I really want pretty much every single card in this game because they're all pretty fun and have their own decks that they go to. Yeah, that's pretty much it for my review. And hope this helped some people out. If you want to see how the game's played or something, you can check out either my free-to-play beginner guide that I'll be making a part 2 too soon, or some of my decks where I play some games. You can sort of see how it's played. And till then, guys, I'll see you in the next video.